these are our compressors that we use to refill our scuba tanks. We're actually running them this morning, that's why it's a little bit warmer back here right now. But when we turn them on, what it does is it sucks in the air from this room, and like I said, it just compresses it down in stages, and we can pump it into the scuba tank. And so we can fill them to the pressure they need to, so our divers can work. And so we have to do a lot of things, not only making sure the machinery is working properly, but because it's literally sucking in the air of this room, we have to make sure that that gas that's going in someone's tank isn't bad. So if we've had people park their car in front of the office to offload equipment, if they leave the engine running, we either have to turn this off or have them turn their car off because we don't want to suck the back of a car exhaust into those tanks. And occasionally, like you might see, we've had painters repainting the building, and like we had a day where the fumes started getting a little strong, and so we couldn't fill tanks because again, we don't want our divers to be like, oh, it's like paint and while I'm underwater. But we have a lot of cool things back here because we do so much support for all the different groups. It's not just people diving worldwide, they all have different reasons to dive. The classic is we do have the people on coral reefs and they're counting fish and looking at the coral polyps, and those are the really cool things. But some of the other cool stuff is like we have an archaeology program, and they're actually excavating like
artifacts around.
Exactly.
There's way more underwater.
Yeah, and it's really cool the history behind it. And so, one second, I went with a group to Israel a couple years ago. This was back 2019. But we were digging up an old Roman village in like 15 feet of water. And at first I was kind of skeptical. I'm like, really? And we had all this equipment where you were literally just sucking up sand, like a big vacuum cleaner underwater. At the end of the day, you'd be like, that's a wall. and then you could see where it turned, and like there's a doorway. I mean, the wood was gone and things like that. Yeah. But it was pretty amazing to be like, and we were only like 6 feet of water, but with like sea level rise and things like that, it had filled in with sand. But so that's just one of the cooler things that people have done. We have people working in the Caribbean and other places doing that. I had the chance also to help excavate an airplane from World War II. Some divers, this was in Sweden, they'd found it by accident, like they didn't even know it was there, and they like pulled a part off and they ran a serial number. And so a group from here went, and so we actually excavated looking for different components to verify what airplane it was. Sounds really cool, but in reality it was really cold. We were in Sweden. So it was the first time I had been diving. I was wearing a dry suit, but I was on the boat and it was snowing on us. And it was actually warmer to get in the water.
Yeah,
So it was, coming from San Diego, yeah, it was kind of like, wow, I'm actually excited to get in cold water right now because it's warmer. So it's really cool that we support so many different things. We have the coral reef biologists, we have people working on kelp, we do the archaeology. Scripps' name is Oceanography, and so a lot of the history of Scripps is putting out instruments to measure waves and currents and all these other things. And our big ships that we have down in San Diego Bay, I mean, they're phenomenal, and they're really good at putting things out, but they can't put these instruments to measure things in shallow. The ships can only come in so close to shore. So we have a lot of divers that go and have to manually carry these instruments, put them down, make sure they're looking straight up or sideways. So it takes a human touch, and that's also what we train people to do. We have one big group, we call them the Coastal Processes Group. They actually measure everything that's going on in the surf zone. And so most of their diving is less than 10 feet, but they're literally having waves breaking over the top of their head. And they're trying to like install things into the sand and like use heavy weights and move it around as waves are breaking on them. Again, it's really cool because for us, from a training standpoint, that's a lot of different hazards we have to think about, different ways to complete your work. So that's what I love about this job, is it's so diverse. We're not just counting fish over and over again. There's a lot of cool things. And with that said, we have a lot of cool toys. These right here are diver propulsion vehicles. Looks like little torpedoes. The batteries are out at the moment. Normally there's a cap on here. And what you do though is you clip this off to your belly here. And when you pull the trigger, the propeller spins. And so you don't have to swim. You just like go flying through the water.
A motorcycle underwater.
Exactly. But like your motorcycle, if you run out of gas, you better hope you're close to home. And so These are run on batteries. As we know, batteries can run out, or if this were to leak. And so that's part of the training of like when everything's easy, when everything goes right. It's when things go wrong. And that's a lot of what our training is anticipating these problems. But so we use these to do surveys, cover large areas. We also have, we support, have you guys been up to Birch Aquarium?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys there?
Were you there when anybody was diving?
No way to see diver.
So they do a bunch of diving up there because they have to clean the tanks. They're so big, sometimes it's hard just to put a brush in and clean the window.
I've seen one person in there feeding a eel.
Yeah, so you were probably in the really big tank. Were they on the full face mask?
They were.
Yeah. So we support all the diving up there too. And we have some researchers that use full face masks, but the main users here at Scripps are the Birch Aquarium. Because the benefit of this, normally you wear a mask and then you have the thing you breathe off of in your mouth. But you can't talk into your mouth and it's hard to talk underwater. Where this, it covers your whole mouth and you can have a microphone right here. And this allows us to talk. This one in particular is similar to what they have at Birch Aquarium, slightly separate, and that the microphone is wireless. So I could talk to another diver that has the same mask. And so Muhammad and I could be this underwater, we could talk to each other. The one at Birch Aquarium, they have it wired up to the surface, and that's what goes over the PA system. And if you get to watch the dive show, it's pretty fun because not only are they feeding the eels and all the other fish, they're talking to you at the same time. So it's really cool because they can be like, oh, this eel's always friendly, and this one I have to watch out for. So it's really cool to see someone like talking underwater. But one of the things that we always train for is I talk about. You want to put it on? You want to put it on? You want to wear it? Okay. One of the cool things about this is, like I said, is it covers your whole face, especially like in cold water. You don't have that cold shock on your face. So even diving in Birch Aquarium, sometimes this is really nice. You can talk, but a big drawback is I'm breathing off that tank that's on my back. If I ever have a problem with that tank, something goes wrong, I run out of gas, normally I have to take this regulator out of my mouth, the thing I'm breathing off of, and I go to my buddy and they have a spare that I can breathe off of, and that's why we always dive together. With this, because it's completely in my face, for me to take that from someone else, I have to take this off. Okay, I can get that hose, but what am I missing now? Yeah, bubbles in my face, I can't see what I'm doing. And so that's...
And you're in the water.
And you're in the water, and now you have to go up to the surface because you're not going to keep feeding fish if you can't see what you're doing. And so again, more training that we do. When we have people use these in the ocean, they will carry a spare mask in their pocket, and so they can at least go back to seeing again. Birch Aquarium is so small that it's just a short ride up to the surface, and so the protocol is, and they practice this once a month, is that they take this off, grab air from someone else, and they do a nice slow ascent to the surface. But yeah, really cool tools. Takes, again, everything I talked about, more training. And so that's what's cool though about science is it's not just going in the dive shop, buy a mask, fins, go dive. There's so much different equipment going on there. Cool. Yeah. Scooter, this one has built-in lights. Yeah. It wasn't that bright. But these are cool too because when you normally, like, we do night dives and there's a lot of times you do science at night because different things happen.
Yeah.
But you have to carry that light. What were you gonna say?
A lot of things, animals are nocturnal.
Exactly. And like I dive our pier quite a bit because I dive it to do checkout dives, do some training with people. I'm not gonna say it gets boring, but it gets routine. I do like diving the pier, it's pretty cool. But I'll go do a night dive and it's a completely different environment. And all these animals that we normally see during the day might be zipping around, the fish moving, and at night now they slow down. And so, that fast fish I can actually pay attention to now. Or I see lobster there, or I might see like an octopus if I really look for it. But at night they're out because they're out feeding. So it's really cool to kind of go out at night as well. And so like I pointed this one out because it's been fun to wear this because you don't have to carry that flashlight in your hand to see what you're doing. You kind of hands free. Problem is when you go to look at your buddy, so it's a little bit harder with the light etiquette, if you will. I talked about different size scuba tanks. We also have all sorts of tanks over here. Just 1 second. We have a few people doing more and more work, and so we have the old school, like, man, gold. These are really heavy now. But the classic to me at least, like double tanks, so I can stay down even longer. And again, more training, more equipment, all these different things, but it has redundancy. And so, but yeah, that's what I had fun doing with here. Yes?
Do you do mixed gases for?
Not necessarily in-house. We have a few divers diving it here. It's such a specialized thing, and because it is typically more like 150 feet and deeper, we have, I think, 5 researchers that are using it. And we've outsourced, like they'll go to another university that uses it a lot more to train. We authorize them, but just it's hard to support here, and they're also not, unfortunately, not even doing it locally. So that's why we haven't invested in the equipment. When she talks about mixed gas, we talked about oxygen and nitrogen, and I talked about we can increase the oxygen, reduce the nitrogen. Problem is sometimes the oxygen gets too high and becomes bad for us. So when we do mixed gas and go a lot deeper, we actually bring the oxygen down, we bring the nitrogen down, but we got to fill in that extra space somehow. And what they do is they put helium in. It's a gas that our body doesn't absorb. Like nitrogen, we're worried about getting the bends and decompression sickness. So we can put the helium in there, and it allows us to still breathe normally. There's enough oxygen to support life, but it reduces our chance of getting the bends. Main drawback with helium these days, it's scarce. It's a finite resource that's going away slowly. And every time I take a breath off a scuba tank, I breathe in, it goes into my lungs. When I exhale, those bubbles just go up to the surface. That's the only time I get to use that. And so that helium and that trimix, that mixed gas, is just now going up to the surface and going to the atmosphere. So you kind of, I don't want to say you waste it, we are using it, it becomes very expensive. If you go to a local dive shop and refill an air tank, I think it's like $7 or $8 now. I haven't done it in a while because I can get them here. The nitrox, the one with higher oxygen, lower nitrogen, that's usually about $10. The trimix with helium is $50 to $75. That's mostly the cost of the helium now. So that's why we're also starting to see it's kind of going away. People still use it, but what we're seeing is they can use that helium in rebreathers. And so instead of having those bubbles go up to the surface, they're also recycling helium. And so we're still diving really small containers of that. And so, but the rebreather itself, I haven't really been talking money, I didn't want to scare you guys. If I buy all my scuba equipment, a regulator, a BC, my wetsuit, I'm probably gonna spend $1,000, maybe $2,000. It's not very cheap, it adds up. And that's why some people might buy their wetsuit first and just rent stuff for a while. Buy your fins. But when you get into like, want to use a rebreather, just to buy one is usually about $15,000. And then you have to train on it. And so there's a lot, I know, it's really expensive. So that's why we don't see a lot of it. And that's why, again, most of the science is so shallow. A, it's safer, but also sometimes it just gets exponentially more expensive as we go deeper.
My brother's total was $8,000.
Wow.
I am not surprised. I mean, it'd be cool to see his shopping list,
He
but.
also got like the really big knife.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
that was probably most of it, but he got all of the add-ons.
Yeah.
He got the knife.
Like I said, the dive shop would be happy to take your money.
But he got free bits.
Nice. And so what we do here is we know that that is often a barrier to getting into scuba. Not everyone has a wealthy background or has a job or things like that. We still require everyone to have their own like wetsuit, mask, fins, because that is personal. We can't stock 200 different sizes. But we do have the buoyancy compensators, the regulators, we obviously have the tanks that we will lend for a short term. That we'll do our training with them, like when they come in as a new grad student, and they can use it, get comfortable with it. And the idea is that they can write a grant or get funding from their school or something like that, that eventually they can buy their own equipment. But this capital is equipment, as we like to explain, the hard stuff is expensive, and we don't want that to be a reason that people don't dive.
That's good.
That we also have a diversity program that also has money to support people from underprivileged backgrounds, things like that, to help get them in the water. And that will actually help them support, a couple of manufacturers have joined us with that and help to provide wetsuits, fins, masks, things like that. So yeah, not everyone has the same background, so we want to try and level the playing field. You had a question though.
Oh yeah, when you were talking about that archaeology.
Yeah.
Did you talk about this? I've heard about this monument which called the Pharaoh's Lighthouse. it was in the Mediterranean Ocean,
Okay.
Mediterranean Sea, and there's a lot of cool artifacts like Greece artifacts and battles around there.
Wow.
And yeah, there's a lot of monuments.
I'm not surprised, having done some work in both Israel, but also I did some work in Greece. And I'm not an archaeologist. I just went to help them because I have the dive background, they have the archaeology background. The amount of history and all the Mediterranean is amazing. And so just the things that they were finding, even in Greece too, we were finding just phenomenal things that I was blown away, and they were just like, nah, no big deal, no big deal. Seen it before. And it's like, so. But same, like I might go diving in the kelp forest and be like, oh, whatever, I've seen the kelp before. And I have a new buddy from the tropics. It's like, this is amazing. So it's all relative. You had a question.
Yeah. What are the situations that you need the knife for?
Oh, there's a lot. That's a great question.
Yeah,
'Cause-
I know for sharks.
Yeah, but even then, that's what they want to sell it to you for. But the reality is sharks have a bad reputation. They're not as dangerous as people think. I mean, we talk about this in our training. You're more likely to get hurt driving to the dive site than you are in the water, especially when it comes to animals. What I'm mostly worried about, the reason I carry a knife, and we require all our divers to carry a knife, honestly, is entanglement. You might get in the kelp forest, that kelp forest might wrap up into you, and you can take your time and untangle it and things like that. But what people do for recreation in the kelp forest is they fish. And so you can have fishing line that you get snagged on. And so it's nice to be able to cut that off so you don't get stuck down there. I'll say that probably 70% of the time I use my dive knife, it's to cut my sandwich in half when I'm on the boat surface interval. It's a little salty and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I always carry one. I use it as a tool, but I'm not like swimming around like looking for trouble. Yeah, like they will sell it to you like to talk about like protection, but you shouldn't be like going around stabbing things. So yeah, most of the time it really is to just cut yourself and make sure you don't get caught in anything. And it depends. Like definitely, if I'm diving, we have some instruments that measure like water temperature and salinity, all the oceanographic things. We have some on the Scripps Pier, but we also have them up like Santa Monica and Newport Beach, so up in LA. As Mohammed probably showed you guys on the pier, one of the nice things about our pier is it's private. And so it's when you dive underneath it, it's pristine. There's not a lot of trash, there's not a lot of... If you go to any of these public piers, Crystal Pier, Imperial Beach Pier, Malibu Pier, people are fishing off of it, but they're also knocking their coffee mug off by accident. So anytime I dive under these public piers, like in Santa Monica, I always come back with skateboards, pocket knives. I've found lots of cell phones. I mean, people drop stuff, not on purpose, obviously, but what we also find is just a lot of trash, but also a lot of things like fishing lines. So that's where I'm definitely like, sometimes I carry 2 knives when I'm up there.
That gets into the animal throats and all.
It can, yeah. So we talk about like microplastics and just trash in general. And so, I mean, it's kind of sad to see when you see all that trash down there. And we don't go do cleanups per se. But when I see that stuff, I'll usually have a bag that I can put stuff in. But I'm usually there to work. I'm not spending another hour like just cleaning up. But it amazed me out at Catalina, which is one of those real popular dive sites. There's a public park underwater where people go diving, and once a year they do a big underwater cleanup, and it's and they give you free tanks, and it's this big thing to get people back in the water, and they have prizes for like who brings the most back or the most unique thing, and it's hilarious to read about what they come back with. Like a guy came back with a glass eye. Like, who lost their eye? How did that even happen? One group that won for the biggest thing was they recovered a full-size couch, like from someone's house. How did that up in the marine park, like off Catalina? Like, so it's always amazing. So yeah, it's kind of sad sometimes to go under these public areas and see it, but I jest a little bit. But yeah, so do your part to pick up on the beach and everything else. Yeah, there's someone walking around like, guys, like, so.
When I go snorkeling, I find a lot of like milk cans, or like milk cartons, or like
The plastic.
Yeah.